I wanted to share some of the end results of all the work that we have put into the farm this year to have it be a little bit more, well, I hope, we'll find out, a little bit easier to hunt and a little bit more control over the daytime movement of bucks, not just a whole ton of does. Anytime you have an ag field, you have the high potential of having a lot of doe presence, both in the all year. When you have anything on the field, we did have a cover crop this year of rye, so even in the spring we had a lot of doe activity, and in the summertime, as soon as the beans came, obviously the doe were extremely active. And we're hoping that what we've done is going to help entice bucks to walk the edge of the property, and also by putting the food plot here, I'm hoping, because the blind that I took my deer from is is right there last year. My hope is because we have the food here, is that during daytime we'll be drawing deer movement down this line, and also when they come out this way, hopefully, potentially they turn this way, and then any bucks that are over at the other portion of the property start maybe migrating this way, because there's going to be does down here, hopefully. In the same way, our access down this side doesn't have food on it, so therefore we can access this maybe in morning, because we do have a screen that I've planted in an L shape. Oh, my hand got out of the picture here. Screen's going to run from there down to there, and then all the way down. It's not all the way down, but it's probably, it's probably 200 yards of screen there. And in the same way, I did put the screen in the front as well, so that when deer are in here, they're hopefully going to feel secluded and safe and sheltered and all those kind of fun things. Now, when the beans come off, hopefully, I hope it's into November. I hope it's into, I hope it's into November, but it could also be in the beginning of the rut in October. Depends on how it does. And also, I'm not a farmer, so I have a lot to learn. So maybe if you guys are expert soybean farmers, you can tell me exactly what you think about that. I think the crop looks amazing. I'm very proud of that. It's not my crop, it's the farmer's crop, and he did, I think, a great job. But anyway, when that comes off, I think, like last year, he'll be fertilizing and planting. In the fertilizer, there'll be rye seed, I imagine, just like last year, and it'll be a rye cover crop to hold in the nutrients, to hold the soil there, and to build the soil's nutrients up by growing rye, which is a lot cheaper than spreading a ton of fertilizer for spring next year when they plant, or beginning of summer next year when they plant. The rye certainly attracts deer into late season. However, rye is not a primary, or at least not in our area. There's so much rich greens because so many people do food plots, so much ag here. We've no shortage of ag. So during bow season, for sure, and into the beginning of gun season, there's still corn out. There's still farmers who have left portions of corn to dry, or specifically for food plot or to control deer movement, or just because they're farmers doesn't mean that they're not adequate and knowledgeable deer hunters. They're doing things with their crop that both benefits potentially their business and to benefit their hunting for that year. So some people leave a line of beans out. There's lots of different things you can do. The deer are going to be eating what's left over from, for sure, when the beans get harvested, stems, dropped beans, all that kind of thing. So there's going to be a substantial amount of food around. So rye isn't necessarily a favorite food source that I found in our area when there is other food available that potentially is either higher nutrients or just in general more tasty to them, sweeter potentially. Apples are in our area. When they fall and they're gone, then maybe they're looking for other things like your acorns and other things, as well as food plots and whatever. So, I guess we'll get to what we put in the food plot here. What I put here, and I have read that it starts a little bit slower, which is fine with me. No problem with that. We do have green up this section right here, right to basically the edge of the field right there, is Northwoods Whitetail. Well, actually, it goes a little bit into there too. Is Northwoods Whitetail Cover 360, or Seclusion 360, excuse me. And that is intended to be shelter and food. It'll hopefully grow up relatively tall, provide a bedding area if need be, and hopefully this screen that's growing right here and that goes all the way down, or a long way down, will help encourage that seclusion as well. So that's kind of the intention there. So as we come farther down, you'll see that we do have some green up, and it looks like one weed, or I mean a weed. I did spray this, but evidently one got by. I'll take that out later. As you can see, we do have some little guys. There should be clover mixed in there and some other stuff. So if you want to look into that, that mix that's on Northwoods Whitetail website. What I did over here, and yes, I made an oopsies when I was filling up fertilizer into the bag, so oh well. What we did here is we have brassicas running down the middle. So the Northwoods Whitetail Sweet Feast brassica mix runs right down the middle, and then I have their it's a whiter light red clover with or maybe it's crimson clover, whatever it is. It's the clover with chicory that runs down here and then there. So, and then this is mostly clover, and I've kind of had the brassicas come, you know, in some way like this too. So we kind of have a mix of foods, and they are obviously in line of sight for the redneck blind, which is obviously good. As you can see, we have our screen that has come up, see right there. Whoop. Now there is a substantial run that comes out of the woods there, which is why I brought the screen farther down, so that when deer come out of that run, they're a little more comfortable as they walk toward the food plot. So I'm not sure what we can get away with. It depends on how big the screen comes in, and we'll learn a little bit this year how that went. It is a Whitetail Institute sorghum screen bag. I think it's a white bag, but it's their plot screen, I think they call it. But it has seated. It does look really nice. I did bring it all the way down there. I didn't put any right here because I don't really know that that's going to be super necessary. Maybe it will be, but I think the main thing that deer are afraid of is road noise and headlights and that kind of thing. They do not seem to be very worried about agricultural equipment. In my county, I think you can ask farmers, deer will run right up and say hello while they're running their tractor. So there's definitely a difference between a car running down the road and a tractor in a field. So I had a huge 8-point just the other day. As I was tilling this, walk right up within 40 yards of me eating an apple right in front of me. So they don't really care about ag equipment. So far this is the condition of the food plot. It's been in a week and probably 5 days, coming up on 2 weeks. So I would say fairly decent green up. We did put down 2 50-pound bags of triple 19 and 1 bag of that 49% urea stuff. So 49-00, so 4900. So that's what we put down here. It's roughly a little bit more than a quarter acre. It's somewhere north of a quarter and a little less than, I mean, a good bit less than half. And the reason for that is simply because I didn't want to get the food plot too close to that blind right there, because that is an excellent morning and evening blind because of the way the deer walk up and down here. And also too, there's many places where the deer are funneling out down there. So I kind of want to let them continue funneling out. And if they choose to funnel out into the food plot, that's great, but they may want to funnel out in places that aren't in the food plot. I'm not sure whether they'd feel more secure or not for that, but just a theory. We'll see how it happens this year. But I certainly don't want to be accessing a blind in the morning or a stand or whatever on food. Definitely a no-no unless you want to use thermal related things to ensure that you do not have any deer on your food plot. And the problem is they're not really going to tell you if there's a deer standing on the edge, poking its nose out, deciding whether or not it wants to go in the food plot. You walk past the food plot into the food plot, and it says, you know what, I'm not going to come out. So this is the first year doing it to this extent. And also too, it was intended, as you can see, that we have access around the property, and also I can come in from this direction into the redneck blind. In this area, basically where I am, all the way to that blind is going to be a no human zone for the season, unless we're covering a deer, or fixing something, or something, you know, tree falls down, whatever. Maybe that might be a thing, but it's going to be a no walking, no vehicle zone. So this will be a deer only area, and hopefully the screen will grow up enough so that when we access the redneck blind, it is secluded. So I'll run up in the redneck blind right now so you can see what it looks like, and I kind of want to see what it looks like too, because I'm really excited to have it look this nice. So I'm pretty pumped about that. We obviously have clover running around like this, and this all used to be horrible pickle bushes, down trees, rotting junk, general bull crap. I mean, it looked like that, but 15 times worse. We'll try and clean that up as years progress. It's just a matter of time and what makes the most sense to do. So here we are with the food plot that you guys saw it get tilled up. And like I said, this is all Northwoods Whitetail John Comp seed products. And I don't have any deal with them. I'd love to communicate with them and learn something, but I'm just a nobody. But I have been using their products now, and if I do my part, they seem to do their part. So yeah, so I think we're doing pretty good on that. I like the way the plot has turned out. We'll go up in the redneck right now so you guys can see.